T-minus 80 seconds. T-minus 70 seconds. T-minus 60 seconds. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds.
Hang on. I know. I should have stopped farting around with this before I started. Hang on a minute.
I've told you about wanking before the live stream, Phil.
Right, so start cam. Come on, camera, you stupid machine.
You were literally there.
I know. Because I was trying to... I suddenly figured out how to get this thing working, and then... Hang on. Oh, bloody hell. Hello, Yoda.
There he is.
I'll be right back.
And we're off.
Yeah, I could barely look at you.
Stop being so dramatic. Being dramatic. You're like the Elton John of the movie world. The drama.
Like you haven't participated in a pile of drama yourself, Mr. Last Jedi, Mr. Star Trek. But no, this one. No, this. Oh, okay. Whatever.
I didn't mind it. Hello, Maddie. Hello, Big Gator. We're waiting for George or Phil. Jesus, that's a flashback. George.
That's what happens when you change your nickname.
Yeah. And the fact that it's, as you can see, is nice and hot here. I'm about 4 pints deep. I've just had a barbecue and hi Tubby. Hello, Maddie. That's very nice, isn't it?
I may or may not have to jump off. Of course, we've had some weird... There he is.
Sorry, everybody. That will teach me to fart around with my video settings just before the live stream starts, thinking I can fix it. I can do this. No, wait.
Hasn't my incredible track record of technical garbage over the past, hasn't that taught you anything?
Don't make the same mistakes as Yoda. My bad.
That's right.
Okie doke. Right. Have you done the introduction?
No, we just said hello.
Hello, and welcome to the Last for the Outpost Frequencies, brought to you by the Last Movie Outpost for all of your movie news, reviews, and everything cool about film. Seamless. Nobody noticed that first 2 minutes. Cock up. Yes, hello, and welcome to the Outpost Frequencies. Like I say, we're from the Last Movie Outpost, and for all of your movie news, reviews, and everything cool about film, it's worth checking out every day. We have with us today Matt. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I've moved rooms. So I've got my garden in the background because I've just stepped in from doing a barbecue and drinking a few beers with the missus. And now I'm plonked myself here.
He looks like he's on 60 Minutes whistleblowing cigarette companies or something.
I've got a big fat cigar waiting for me after this stream.
Is that what you call it? Oh, weird. Never heard it called that before. And Yoda, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that obviously we have a discussion to be had here, but I'm sorry that I have to do this given your guys' review of Indiana Jones, but
Shame. Shame. Shame.
I hear that all the time.
make the rules. I don't make the rules. Okay, you guys broke them. I'm sorry.
That doesn't even insult me. I hear that all the time.
I think I've broken more than Phil.
Okay. I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to jump straight into Indy and then cover?
Yeah,
the
fuck
news,
it.
We
Yeah, I
got,
don't think is there any other news this year or this week?
we abide by
Yeah.
the algorithm.
Yeah, I know there is some stuff, but yeah, let's talk about Indy. So,
Go on then.
just to sum up, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is the fifth of the Indiana Jones movies. Steven Spielberg is not back, but it has been directed by James Mangold. It has also been produced by the woman who has single-handedly been trying to destroy all of George Lucas's career, Kathleen Kennedy. Now, I wrote a review up, but just before this, if you go to the Last Movie Outpost, that the Indiana Jones trilogy is the perfect trilogy. They are the perfect set of movies, which are excellent, enjoyable, fantastic fun, and they end perfectly with everybody running off into the sunset at Petra. Then we had the Crystal Skull, which was excrement, I think is a good word to describe it. I mean, it took Indy and dumped all over him. Now, here we are at the fifth movie in the perfect trilogy, at the Dial of Destiny, with an 80-year-old Indiana Jones, and, as I say, worst of all, the fact that Kathleen Kennedy has been producing it. Now, we have had 3 or 4 reviews, I think, on the website.
Yeah, I think we've had 4.
Matt, you liked it, and we'll also
did
say,
like
just whilst we're still here, Sean happened to see it, and Sean he enjoyed it as well. He gave it a solid 4 out of 5. I was mid. I was trying to be generous towards it, and I gave it a 2 out of 5. Yoda loved it.
Not stop going on about his love for it.
No, Yoda, you were not a fan, were you?
Yeah, I did an hour-long presentation, which
Video.
just basically
The channel.
was this for an hour.
I mean, it's one of those scenarios where we have been given trilogies before. Say, for example, Back to the Future. Now, there is no way a 4th movie would work. Not this late in the time or anything else. That movie is a perfect trilogy with a perfect ending. It should never, ever be revisited or retouched or anything. Indiana Jones was like that. But unfortunately, here we are. Yeah, perfect trilogy. Sorry, just reading Max there. A lot of competition. Yeah, there are a lot of perfect trilogies out there which have been ruined by a 4th movie or more. And yet here we are discussing this new Indiana Jones movie. Now, the expression flogging a dead horse really came to mind because obviously Hollywood, as we know, can't produce anything new or original these days. It has got to strip mine IPs as much as they possibly can to extract as much of the soul out of them as humanly possible. Hey, we have a Sean with us.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in long enough to say Eggy's take on Indy was correct.
This is going to be interesting.
Between you and Sean and Phil, the audio has some.
Yeah, mine might be my
Anyway, sorry.
whatever.
It's a solid 3. It's not that woke. You and Yoda wrong as usual. Matthew or Eggy is objectively correct. Sorry, bros.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, sir.
I'll let you two get back to complaining about Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy, and Yoda. Have a good 4th of July, buddy.
You too, man.
And
Even
he's
though you
gone.
are objectively wrong.
Straight in. Fuck you
Hello,
two.
you
See
two are wrong.
later.
You're idiot. Bye. That was
Okay.
brilliant.
Then for Sean.
Shame.
Game.
Shame. Shame.
Now, it was difficult to go into this movie with an open mind. You know, we had heard so many rumours about what may have been taking place. We had heard rumours about reshoots, which were denied by the director. But then John Williams said that apparently they did reshoot the end. There was so much, not riding on this, but there was so much information that we went in with this. It was difficult to watch it with an open mind. I tried my hardest to just go in and try and enjoy an Indiana Jones movie. I did find myself mildly entertained at the end of it. Walking home, I did think to myself, yeah. But it had issues. And to me, that's the major problem, which we'll come back to because it's things like the budget. Now, Yoda, you had issues with the fact that you did think it was woke and it was just not an Indiana Jones movie to you. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I don't understand how you could be so angry at Last Jedi and not be angry at this. I'm not tracking because it had all. I mean, if you guys watch my thing, I illustrate it. You know, why isn't he at Marshall College anymore? He was promoted at the end. Why isn't he there? Why is he in this shit? Well, it's the same thing. Look, he is in an isolated place where and it's done in a way to emphasize how broken down he is. Okay, check. Then plucky English lady comes to bring him in. Check. He decides to die at the end for no reason. Oh, and by the way, he Luke kind of shit on the Force and turned his back on the Force in there. And Indy is going to stay back in time. Now, assuming that he was able to heal from the bullet wound, he might have a 50-50 chance of effing up all of history. You know, the thing that he's dedicated his entire life to preserving. I mean, how do you not see this as character assassination? I'm not sure. And then they did their best to disguise, but Helena, when it came down to make the actual choice or take the actual action that got them out of whatever predicament they were in, Helen always did it. She saved him from the eels. She saved him on the boat with the dynamite, and she saved him off the plane. She did all the work. He didn't do squat. So, I mean, it fills in things in between to make you look and think like it's an Indiana Jones movie, but it's not. It's the same old bullshit. And what you said, Phil, is like you're going to go in with an open mind. I'm not with Lucasfilm anymore. Not with Kathleen Kennedy. How many times do we have to watch? Mandalorian is now the Bo-Katan show. We saw the sequel trilogy. Rogue One had to have a plucky English female character in it. Willow was an absolute disaster. No, I don't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. These choices were deliberate. They were in there on purpose. And the only reason that it was edited the way it was to minimize the damage. And when you get to the end and it cuts when noodle-armed Helena punches him out for, I don't know, a week. He's unconscious. He's been taking hits from steroid McHenchman all movie. The giant guy that was like 7 feet tall or whatever. And he's doing fine.
Standing for Pat Roach, effectively.
Yeah. But no, she's able to knock him out for a week. Oh, and by the way, while she's at it, drag his ass onto a plane, take him back to the future, take him back to New York, get him all bandaged up, and since she's so awesome, she's going to fix his entire freaking marriage. I don't know how you guys didn't see these things the way I did, because I'm like, this is Last Jedi all over again. It's the same beats. It's the same problems. The only difference was he didn't actually die, which almost is worse. It's like at least Luke followed through and did his sacrifice. This one, it's like, no, plucky English lady has to stop him and save him because he's that fucking incompetent, I guess. Okay. Fine. You win, Kathy. You fucking win.
You've
ruined them all.
Now,
you got the hat trick.
Don't make me mute you. And now in the blue corner, we have Eggy. Response, please.
Well, I'm not going to defend Kathleen Kennedy or Lucasfilm because she's a piece of shit. We all know that, but I do think you're overanalyzing it a bit, mate. If I've got to be honest. I mean, how can you say Indiana Jones is like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi? Luke Skywalker basically went, yeah, fuck you with the lightsaber, threw it off behind him, and refused to participate in anything that he's worked hard to preserve. And Indiana Jones, as soon as he met Helena and gave her the dial or half the dial of destiny, and was forced back into action, he instantly stepped up to the plate and done everything he could to get it back and helped Helena. He tried to get it back off Helena, and he tried getting it back off the new Nazis or the old new Nazis or whatever they were.
He handed it to her and said, "Get out of here," until the guys came in and forced his hand
Before because he thought she was going to carry on her father's work. He didn't realise that she was in it for the money. But Luke threw it away. He was like, "No, I'm not interested. This is bullshit." But
I think thematically, it's all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. He's withdrawn from the world because a son or a surrogate son, something horrible has happened to him. In the original one, it was, or in Last Jedi, it was because Ben went to the dark side and had a bad dream. And in this one, it was because Mutt had died. But I mean, it's the same thematic elements. You don't have to do it exactly to have the same thematic elements going on here. I don't think you're analyzing it enough.
No, I think that we've got to a stage in where we have been so poisoned and disrespected by Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm and Disney and everyone else involved that we can't help but look at stuff as if it's a personal insult. And sometimes you just need to sit back and go, okay, that's fair enough. It was quite enjoyable. There's elements of it that you could overanalyze. But then if you look back at the other Indiana Jones, there's nothing. I didn't feel there was anything in this movie that was that far-fetched from what we've seen previously.
No, I again, with Kathleen Kennedy, I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. And I know that they went through tons of reshoots. Now, whether Doomcock was right or not, I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. But I know it went through tons of reshoots. And that ending was just a cut to black ending because they didn't know what the hell to do. And
I wanted to give Kathleen Kennedy, well, not Kathleen Kennedy, the benefit of the doubt, because I will never give that woman the benefit of the doubt. However, I do feel that James Mangold did try to stand up, and I'm going to say this again, that JJ wanted to make a decent Star Wars film, but he had Kathleen Kennedy barking at him and changing everything, and I think he went in with a full intention to make a good Star Wars film, but it just didn't end up that way with both the Force Awakens and the Rise of Skywalker. And I think James Mangold has had the same thing, that I think he has at some point put his foot down, and whether that ending that we all heard about as the rumor was true or not, I think James Mangold has been able to just try and save his own dignity by putting out the best that he can, but having absolutely terrible interference from the producers.
Well, doesn't that follow with all the the wreckage of directors on the side of the road since Lucasfilm started this whole mess back in 2012? The Phil Lord, I know Gareth Edwards went through a whole lot of shit. That's basically not his movie anymore. And I don't know, the guy that was fired off of Boba Fett, Colin Trevorrow was supposed to do the third. I mean, yeah, you got to look. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't just look at the movie in a vacuum anymore because all this history has happened. So, I mean, you know, I can't look at these things and not assume that there was something that Kathleen Kennedy or the Wokies at Lucasfilm and Disney put in there, whether he was fighting him or not. Look, it's just like Rian Johnson. I mean, the both of them can make a very competent movie. Mangold can make good action. He can make a good, competent movie. I will stand by the fact that the original, the opening was great. It felt like an Indiana Jones movie. I'm willing to forgive some of the wonkiness, you know, with some of the CGI and the de-aging and all that. I don't think it was that bad, and they filmed a lot of it at night and everything, but it felt like an Indiana Jones movie. And then when the minute it went to 1970, it went off a cliff for me, and it just kept falling. And I was like going, I don't know how you can be so mad at all the destruction that they've done, and then pretend that that isn't happening in this one. They may be covering it over, glossing it over, fooling you. But I still think it's just a scam to put, to destroy one more character.
I don't think it's not pretending to anything. It's just I watched it and I didn't think there was anything out of the ordinary from the other three. I'm not including Crystal Skull, but I don't think there was anything from the previous three Indiana Jones films, apart from the practical effects, that was out of the ordinary. It was pretty much copy and paste straight across.
But there's a lot of random, like the plot had problems as far as, the guy shows up to the boat. How'd he find a boat? I don't know.
But
and then when they go,
Raiders of the Lost Ark, Yoda, we've had that from the very first opening with Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indiana Jones goes through the whole thing with the little golden head and the ball, and then suddenly the French geezer turns up, and then they.
That was not within the context of the rest of the movie. You knew why they were in Tanis. You could see how they found Indiana Jones when he was in the Well of the Souls. That was just, you figure Belloc had been tracking him. That's all. I mean, even then, I could come up with a better answer. It's like he watches him go. He's like, he's going west instead of east. It's like saying, okay, I'm in the Pacific and I'm going to Asia instead of California, and then find you in a small cave in Japan. Okay,
that is one of the things that did really annoy me.
Yeah, we did say that though on our little live stream, didn't we? That was ridiculous. Where he looked through the binoculars and went, hold on a minute, he's turning left and not right. So like, okay, that was a bit silly. But the Indiana Jones films,
Mediterranean isn't that big.
Especially 1 and 3, we've always had instances where the Nazis have always turned up 5 minutes after Indiana Jones has arrived and done all the hard work. It's not something that's unusual. I think maybe just when we watched it when we were younger, we weren't as sceptical as we are now because we haven't been fed shit and abuse from Kennedy after all these years.
No, weirdly though, like I say, I watched all 4 before watching this one, and I am trying to think of a moment where the Germans just turned up out of the blue without some kind of evidence that they could have got there, and I can't think of anything.
I can't either.
Well, it turned up in Egypt, turned up in Last Crusade, where it turned up at that crescent in Egypt, the ground where the knight, the 2,000-year-old knight was. They just appeared.
Well, they were following the map. They had the map.
Indiana Jones had the map, didn't he? He took the map back. He got it off Hitler.
No, they had the map. All that Indy had.
They got it from Brody.
How to get through to the final.
Well, there's a prime example. Brody was disappeared. He could have been anywhere on the face of the earth, and they went, he's definitely in Egypt. I mean, listen.
I suppose
we're over analysing classics. We had this conversation earlier on Slack when we were talking about Superman 2, and Man of Steel. We've fallen into the trap of over analysing things rather than just being able to sit back and go, look, okay, these are fantasy films. Indiana Jones travelled across the world. We never once questioned how he got there. He turned up at a Nazi rally and bumped into Hitler. He turned up in the middle of fucking Egypt. He's done this and does it. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, hold on a minute. How did he get there? No one gives a shit. He got there. It's a movie. Right,
no, I do have to address the whole nitpicking thing because I've been thinking about this because I've been accused of nitpicking apparently. But with it, I've been accused of nitpicking, which is true. But in my defence of this, when you're producing a product which costs $300 million and you are releasing it to the world, seen by maybe like 1 billion people across the world, I'm sorry, but you have to tie up the loose ends and the plot holes. And like, for example, people, I'm just obviously at randomly, but like, in the original Star Wars, they went to Mos Eisley to look for somebody. You see Obi-Wan talking to a few people. Somebody says this guy knows someone, and that's how they meet Han and stuff. It's not just a random meet. There is kind of there's a journey and a destination which fits in perfectly. Whereas nowadays, in a lot of movies, and I don't want to bring up Man of Steel, but I mean, there's plot holes. There's plot holes. No, I'm just saying because to me, like I say, the problem with Man of Steel was there were just too big a plot holes of things that were happening, and we just
I'm not talking about Man of Steel, but again,
no. But
everyone just shits on the Snyderverse. Everyone just shits on Man of Steel, even though there's enough. We've had this conversation on Slack. There's enough problems with all fucking superhero films, and everyone just goes, "Yeah, Man of Steel."
No. But this is what I'm saying is no. And like I say, I'm sorry for picking on Man of Steel. It's just the first one that popped into my head. What I'm saying is when you are producing a product that you are releasing to the world, I'm sorry, you have to tie up all loose ends. You can't have plot holes. You can't have a guy going, oh, they're going to Sicily. I'll find them there. Okay,
One
that to me
incident.
is
You've both referenced one incident of him looking through binoculars, going, "Oh, he's gone there," which I've said is shit. It's a shit idea.
How did he know to turn up at the place where she was selling the Dial of Destiny? Because Salah told him about a place, but how did
Because it
Wallace
was on the black market. It's where the antiques went. It's where all the people went for the antiques. There was high profile.
There's only one black market, Phil. There's only one.
In
it's
Tangier,
just that everybody knows. It's Bob's black market. Everybody goes.
Listen, you're painting me into a corner where you're making it look like I'm
sorry, the movie did it. We're just seeing what we see.
You're making me look like I'm defending Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, and I'm not. All I'm simply saying is you are
sitting in a tree.
You are looking at the Dial of Destiny and asking all these questions that have never been an issue for the previous 3 Indiana Jones films. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you just need to sit back and go, yeah, fuck it, enjoy it.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
No. You see, again, but the problem with this is yes, there are certain movies where there are massive plot holes, but they're quality entertainment. The problem with this is an Indiana Jones movie, and like I say, though that first movie, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, is perfection, a masterclass. It's 100% perfection.
Is it faultless?
No. How was he able to stay on top of that submarine all the way from Katenga's boat to the? There are things like that.
And how did the Nazis find that one ship in the whole ocean that contained?
Yeah. How did they find them? That was weird.
And this is my point. If you want to start overanalyzing, you've got to start overanalyzing every film that's ever been made, and therefore you're never going to be happy. There's just sometimes you've got to sit back and go, yeah, fuck it, it's a movie, it's fantasy. We're looking at a geezer who's going to travel back in time. We're looking at a bloke that's met a 2,000-year-old knight. We're looking at a bloke that's on the brink of meeting God. You know, sometimes you just got to sit back and go.
700-year-old knight, actually.
Oh, 700, yeah. Sometimes you just got to sit back and go, yeah, okay.
But then
there is a level.
The whole 700-year-old knight thing. There was still a level of believability in that. I know, obviously, it's not true, but you could still get swept up with it. Whereas, like I say, sometimes when those plot holes to me are just too big, it's, as I've said this the other day, Back to the Future, it's full of plot holes if you overthink it. But is it an entertaining movie? Yes, it's the most entertaining movie ever made. It's fantastic. And so you ignore them. And I think, like I say, when you're writing something like Indiana Jones, I'm sorry, there should have been a tighter script that held everything together and just explained bits and pieces better. Like
what would you have liked to have had explained more then? Help me understand.
What do they mean by, like, some of it just felt random. Like, okay, you know, Indy is in the plane and the guy is following the Dial of Destiny. He's like, "Don't you forget about continental drift? You continental drift, you're going to end up God knows where." Okay, though they end up back in the Roman age, and you think, "Oh, that's because they forgot about continental drift, and that's why they didn't end up in there." And then Archimedes says, no, this is where I always wanted you to go. I was like, okay, well, what was all that bullshit about continental drift? But nobody thought it, but they just wrote it for that moment, and then they wrote something different for the other moment, and that speaks to me of rewrites and reshoots and things that they forgot about.
This is the problem that you don't get. Like I say, I mean, like, for example, George Lucas wrote Star Wars, I mean, pretty much by himself. And so he was able to just make adjustments and tweaks and everything else. This, as I said, it was like the script was passed around at a cheap hooker at a rich man's party. You know, somebody did this and then somebody did that, and then somebody's not correcting this mistake, and it's just you're getting too many cooks all trying to make the same thing, and it just becomes a bit of a hot mess. I've seen, don't get me wrong, there are still new movies to do this, but I've seen older movies which have had none of the budget of Indiana Jones, but they have been written fantastically. And so that you've got an engaging story which all makes sense and everything else, and even with bad special effects and stuff, you are totally engrossed in this film. Whereas with Indiana Jones, you've got to pay attention to even the smallest of details. You've got to do that. You've got
Well,
that.
let's switch. Let me switch this to special effects. Okay, there is a level, like a window, an Overton window, or whatever you want to call it, a certain amount of window where if you stretch it too far, you go outside believability, and then you don't believe what you're seeing, right? So if you take the raft coming out of Temple of Doom, and I mentioned this the other one, the raft coming out of Temple of Doom, that is ridiculous that they would live. But you kind of buy into it because they pushed a real raft out with real dummies inside to approximate the weight, and it hits, and it has a certain amount of
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, you can kind of buy into it because it feels a little bit more real. It stays within that window. Whereas if you look at something like The Flash, where he's jumping around and he's putting babies in microwaves and all the other shit, and it just looks so rubbery and the color is off and everything, you lose that suspension of disbelief. Now, could either of those two things happen? No. But one we believe and one we don't. Why? Because there's an attempt made to at least keep it grounded within the reality of Earth, which is what happens when you throw dummies out of a raft. So I'm kind of looking at this the same way as far as plot and story. There were things that Indiana Jones had to get saved too much. Indiana Jones was strong until he wasn't. He was old until he was completely able to punch out everybody at 80 years old, until they needed him to complain about his age. And then he had to get rescued too much, and he wasn't making good decisions. I think Indiana Jones would. Staying in the past, that's not an Indiana Jones decision to me. So if you add them all up, it starts to collapse under its own weight. That's what happens to me. It's like the more this happens. I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised throughout the beginning with the flashback or the thing happening in 1944 or whenever it was. And I was like, okay, maybe I've been wrong. Maybe this will go okay. And then woof, it went bad. And that's when I got, I mean, when I first saw Harrison Ford in his boxers with a baseball bat came down, I was like, is this a parody? Why isn't he at Marshall College? Why isn't he, why do we got to do this stupid trope again and again? And when I saw the trope that was so obvious, I went,
but I said that about,
I got it.
When we cut from the first scene with young Indy and we saw Indy as an old man asleep in front of the telly in his pajamas with his pants, or underwear as you Americans call it. And I was like, oh, here we go. They fucking done it again. And then there was reasons, but, Mutt had died. He was getting divorced from Marion. He'd obviously moved away from it. I don't agree with any of this. I'm just trying to not even justify, I'm trying to explain why. If he's lost a son and he there was quite an emotional part where he's talking to Fleabag where he's like, I couldn't fix her and I couldn't save my son. From someone who's, I've got, without going too far into it, I know the repercussions of what it's like to lose a son. I've not lost a son, but I know people very close to me have lost a son. And it's something that goes on for a lot of time and it is completely soul destroying. So I could really relate to it where he had tried to do everything he could to fix Marion and he couldn't do it. And he was just completely defeated. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's Indiana Jones and Kathleen Kennedy is once again fucked over, a white hero like she always does and replaced him with some fucking super strong woman. I'm not saying it is right. I'm just saying that I understood the reasons of why he was where he was in that stage of his life.
That happened almost at the exact same time in the movie as when Luke told his story about how he saw Ben falling to the dark side. Yeah, but I mean, that's my point. The beats exactly were there.
No, they're not.
Like,
they're not,
okay.
Though. Fuck Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill, because you're a piece of fucking shit. You threw the lightsaber away. You signed up to the contract. You threw it away, and you refused to participate in anything that you spent your entire life fighting for. When the going got tough, and as soon as it was required, Indiana Jones stepped up to the plate, and he went all out to rescue Phoebe Waller-Bridge and get back the half of the Dial of Destiny. With riding a horse through the subway and shitty CGI and fighting the Nazis and everything else. He didn't cower away. He stepped up to the plate and went, right, fuck this, let's get going.
At least in this, they did actually give Indy a decent ending. Whereas with Luke, like I say, they were quite happy to kill him off. And I mean, if rumours were to be true that obviously, Indy was supposed to be killed off, but at least he got like a decent ending to this, so that
Who got a decent ending? Sorry.
Indy
Indy?
5 in this. It's what I'm saying is Luke they killed off, but whereas this they actually gave him a decent ending.
Well, if you
where-
mean decent, like he's not dead, I'm like, I almost wish he was.
Yeah,
So
but
there's
he's back with
possibility they may do
Marion.
this shit again.
but he's back with Marion and stuff, you know. So I mean, it's like it's not.
Yeah, how did that happen? Where did she come from? How did Fleabag know
Fleabag.
where to find her? What? Why?
Well, at the beginning, Indy did look at the divorce papers, so maybe it had her name and address on them.
Yeah, okay.
Possibly.
It's not, again, we're overanalyzing. It's not too hard to find Indiana Jones's wife.
I was watching beat for beat everything that we complained about Last Jedi happened to him. It's a different movie, it's a different character, it's a different world, but thematically it's all the same. And that was my problem with it more than anything. I did love when they had the Austin Powers moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Antonio Banderas.
Everybody is me, bang.
Guest appearance.
I'll be here for 10 minutes and then die.
I must admit that I actually thought I was disappointed with the opening because of a couple of things. Firstly, I thought the CG was bad. And I'm sorry, I thought it was unforgivable in places.
The CG was bad, but the de-aging wasn't as bad as you said it was.
Anyway, the other bit that got me was that whole sequence kind of was, I don't know, on and off, and it wasn't too bad. The whole gun shooting the train and killing all the Germans was one of those moments where it was kind of, again, I kind of was blowing air through my nose in a sort of scoffing way of, really, you know, this is how that happens. Obviously, because when you build guns and stuff, you build them without safety catches, so that if there's nobody there, they just carry on firing, you know, all the time.
Yeah, I looked at that as kind of like all the stuff that Indy and Marion did with the wing, the German wing, and basically just because of everything they did, they ended up blowing up the entire yard by accident. I felt it was kind of in line with that. I honestly liked the beginning. I really did. The CG was not egregious for the de-aging. I think it was more egregious like when they were on the motorcycles or doing some of the chase. That's where it felt,
on the train, when
on
he's
the
running
train,
across
the sets and all that. Yeah, but other than
Obviously,
that,
they shot it at night to hide.
yeah. And that's okay.
Which I actually said in my, I said that in my reviews. The one of the beautiful things, and Magic, thank you. Talking about my wife's legs. Yes, she's a real blonde. The one of the beautiful things about the whole Indiana Jones was the practical effects, and we've all seen the behind the scenes how they've done him going under the van with the whip, and it's fucking magnificent. So Mangold's decision to heavily rely on CGI is pretty unforgivable because they could have done it. We really need to reassess this CGI thing and bring back. I mean, we're literally a few weeks away from Oppenheimer, where Christopher Nolan's recreated an atomic bomb rather than use CGI. It's just like, come on, guys, this gets perspective. You got stuntmen that could run across a train, and you've got CGI that could create an atomic bomb, and you're like,
I think it's all about liability. I think it's all about liability and lawsuits and everything. I hate to say it, but those days are gone, and it sucks. And I agree, but the practical thing is that none of that's worth a person's life. It's just not, and it's.
They're stuntmen. They're trained to do this. You know,
I understand they are, but
they could run across a train and have a scene going in the back. I mean, there's a million.
I know, absolutely they can, but they're not going to do it. Yeah, I mean they need jobs, everything. I miss those days. I'm not disagreeing with you. I wish they would. I'm just saying that's the idea.
But you could have a dude running. You can have a CGI. You can have a real dude.
That's just a green screen. Even looks like shit. I wish they would do it all real, but they're not.
They could have done it. The CGI let it down. So that was a poor decision.
Don't mistake. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying that's their mentality.
The other thing about the opening sequence was the whole hanging. How a bomb, which is designed to explode on landing, lands right in front of Indy, doesn't explode, falls through a few floors, and then the whole, I think Rennie's brought it up in his review, that, you know, the whole timing of that sequence and everything else was like again, it just kind of took you out of that reality.
I
Because
will
it was
say
a
him swinging around by his neck and not dying, that was
Yeah.
a little much.
you know. So again, and so for me, that was the start of the movie, and so that
He wasn't even in a fridge. How could he survive that?
because,
Yeah, but
again,
we've
I
kind of seen something similar in Last Crusade, where the airplane come over and dropped a bomb, and the car right in front of the car, they just drove into it and just
Yeah.
got out. Again,
Yeah.
it's Indiana Jones. You don't want it being too realistic. Otherwise,
Well-
fucking hell, if it was too realistic, the geese would be dead within about 5 minutes of each film.
Well, here's what I love about the Indiana Jones for the most part. In all three of the original trilogies, everybody else is useless. You know, everybody else is either captured or in a tank or tied up to a pole. Sal is out trying to get camels for his brother-in-law. You know, everybody else is just freaking useless. And if it weren't for Indiana Jones, and then you get to this one, and it's like he's the one that's useless, and that's irritating. Yes, does he punch a few people here and there? Is he able to kind of work with Phoebe Waller? But she's the one driving everything. She's the one that's the new Indian. That's clearly what they were setting up. I look. We can argue about whether that ending was going to be there or not, but I'm telling you, it sure felt like that's what they were leading up to.
I was concerned when she got on the motorbike and drove towards the aeroplane before they time travelled. I was thinking, Doomcock's going to be right about this.
It was
But
a little bizarre.
She saved him as much as he saved her, and there was times where she fucked up trying to save him. So I generally didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think of her as a Mary Sue at all. I mean, she had a very questionable moral compass. She was only in it for the money.
Was
And
she? Or was she heart of gold? Or was she a student? Or was she
was
going to sell
slag.
him out? Or was she... Well, why didn't she sell him out then on the boat? I mean, what was the big change of character that made her decide that Indy was so important? I don't know when that happened.
Because I think Indy had become the Henry Jones Sr. role, where he had been questioning her judgment. And I mean, that was evident after Banderas was killed, and she was laughing and celebrating. I mean, one of my best friends has just been killed on a boat.
Yeah, so I like that. I actually like that moment.
He had that balance where, if you look at in Last Crusade, where you had Indiana Jones was quite willing to shoot and kill the Nazis, and I mean there was two specific scenes I remember where he killed and blew up Nazis, and he smiled when he's driving on the motorbike with his dad in the sidecar. And his dad just adjusts his watch, or just looks at him and just adjusts his hat.
Yeah,
so
but
I think you had that role reversal where she was, throughout the film, she was learning that maybe her ethics were complete. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone goes on about her being a feminist and all this other shit.
Wait,
she was
a
whore in this film. She was a fucking whore. She was constantly eyeing up men, and she was willing to sell herself and her body for money. So she basically, which is
so she's being Indiana Jones. She's one with the loose men. Fast men. That's what she wants.
Got an intruder.
Yeah, I see that. I'm saying that, okay, when you talk about the motorcycle ride, okay, with Henry, do you think Henry was like disappointed because he was killing people, or was he just being the dad saying, I'm just not impressed with your antics? I think it was not impressed with my aunt. No, I don't think it was both, because 5 minutes later, he's running on the beach and murdering a guy with birds and sending him to his fiery death. So no, I don't think he gave a shit about the Nazis.
But when but you're wrong, because when Indiana Jones first found Henry and he killed the Nazis in that little castle, wherever they were, he was disgusted. He went, "You've just killed these people."
I think it was just like, I can't believe that you did that. Like, he was just shocked. I don't think he cared about the Nazis. And 5 minutes later, he's saying, "Go ahead, shoot her. She's a Nazi. The girl he just slept with."
Yeah, but he didn't mean shoot her. He didn't say shoot her.
He told Indy, "Go ahead, shoot her."
No, he told the Nazi who was pretending to hold her hostage.
He told the Nazi to shoot her.
He was calling his bluff because he knew he wasn't going to shoot her because she was one of them. He wasn't telling Indiana Jones to shoot her. He was saying,
I don't think he would have cared. I don't think he would have shed a tear if that guy had shot her anyway.
I think a lot of people are saying that Fleabag or Phoebe or Helena
Help me out here,
She's
Chad.
she's a whore. Well, I've got Gay to say, what universe do I live in? Second one
I
from
do
you.
think the way the script played out, from the opening shot of Helena when she's in there and she answers Indy's question, that guy turns around and she just sort of goes, and I thought, oh, she's going to be annoying in this. And then throughout the movie, it felt like they were trying to set her up as the new Indiana Jones. But
Yes, I'll give you that.
I still reckon that the Cannes screening had that happen, but that's why even the Shields couldn't go, no, we're not having that. Sorry, there's no way you can kill off Indy and replace it with her. And I reckon that she expected to get like a lucrative movie deal out of this and carry on the Indiana Jones flag as the new Indy. But I actually think Disney may have actually come to their senses. What's his name? Bob Iger might have stepped in and sort of said, no, there's no way we're doing this, because this just can't happen, because it's a step too far. And so,
I understand, but you got to remember, Phil, we're judging a lot. We're judging this lot on a lot of hearsay and a lot of rumours. And listen, I've enjoyed listening to Doomcock ranting and raving over the last couple of years. I really have. But let's be honest, he's probably wrong 9 times out of 10.
It's rare,
and we're all clinging on to this. Well, maybe this happened, and maybe that happened, and maybe this was going to happen. Well, so far, the only thing this geezer's ever got right is that there was time travel involved in the new Indiana Jones film. Apart from that, he's been wrong on fucking everything. And he's drifting about it as well.
I was just going to say that whole time travel
come out
thing
yesterday, going on about Kathleen Kennedy's been fired from Lucasfilm. Fuck off, mate. The ship sailed. No one believes you anymore. Whether you're powerful enough to have forced these last minute changes, then good for you. But back it up, prove it, because now's the time for you to stand on your shield and go, right, because of the rumours that I've heard of my insiders, we force these changes. But until then, at the moment, we're just basing this all on hearsay and rumours from fucking a fat geezer who wears a mask who talks to puppets.
I honestly don't watch Doomcock, and the only time I hear him mentioned is when you or some other people mention him. I can tell you this: Indiana Jones is somewhere in the tracking of 60 million, and I think they're overestimating based on my theater. And we have it. Here's some things to stomach. Not only did Star Wars bomb Solo, a Star Wars story, open higher than Dial of Destiny with 84 million, but so did Paramount's 7th Transformer movie at 61 million. Just a little bit, but it's the 7th freaking Transformer movie of a franchise that's long run out of gas. This is terrifyingly bad for them.
No matter what the situation, I think the fans are coming to realise that they just can't trust movies. Back when we were lads, obviously, like I say, it was different. We didn't have streaming and videos and blah 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 and whatnot. Didn't have videos. And back at the times before the cinema, no. But back in the day, like I say, when Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out, I remember. I can't remember exactly the date, but the day it was coming out, me and my mates were going to see it. I even wore my best shirt and everything because we were at the premiere, and it was like a huge event. Whereas nowadays, that just doesn't happen anymore because people just don't trust Hollywood. They don't trust to deliver a decent film, because...
Let me ask you guys a question. So we all agree that at this point, or for a while now, the critics have been lauding woke stuff, right? They love it. And so there's been an inverse with the audience and the critics for a while.
Yeah.
They love Last Jedi. We all agree that's woke. Assuming that this followed the Last Jedi template, but didn't go quite as far. They didn't kill him for once. Do you think the critics, they had a really lukewarm reception to it? It didn't, after it came out with Cannes, Indy 5 did not have a very good reception by the critics. Is it because the critics decided it wasn't woke enough? Or are the critics in general realizing that they had better start getting their act together? They're going to lose their credibility, or something else? I'm kind of trying to figure out, because the critics seem to not be on board with this either, which is surprising to me because it seems to have all the same check boxes. So
I don't know.
is
whether
there a
the
change
critics are
happening in newspaper critics, do you think?
I mean, with it, I suppose, like I say, it's one of those scenarios where, nobody wants to get cancelled. And you say the wrong thing. Apparently, I read there's somewhere that apparently some woman said men can't become lesbians, and she's facing jail time. And it's like,
I'm a lesbian.
what?
I love women.
But with it, it's like, sorry, what the hell's going on? And I think people are fearful of saying the wrong thing, because if you stand up against them woke or whatever, you're going to get screamed and shouted at and cancelled. And so, like I say, it's difficult to tell with what the critics think, because again, they could stand up there and defend this with all might and everything else, and they'll get screamed at one side, and if they don't, then they'll get screamed at the other side. And so whether they're just trying to draw a line down the middle of it,
they've had no problem being screamed at by people like me or you or the critical drinker. They don't care.
loud enough. We don't shout
Yeah,
loud enough.
but they are coming more, or at least with this movie. There's been a few others where they seem to be less. I don't know. I don't know if there's a turn, if there's a tide turning here, if there's something has happened, or we're turning a corner.
I think normal people can give a fuck who screeches and who rants and raves, and you can't get cancelled if you don't give a shit. So fuck them people that do change their point of view because of that. I just think that there is no common ground anymore. I think you're either one way or the other. I think you either like something or you hate it, and there's no compromise. And that's with general life, it's with products, it's with merchandise, and it's now with franchises. And you're either all on or you're all out, and it's as simple as that.
Well, I agree. Matic accused me of being either 1 or 10, and I don't think that's true. I've given a lot of movies a mid review here and there, kind of liked it, or it was okay, but it could have been better. I was more positive than you on The Flash, but that's not saying much.
And Black Adam as well, though. There's a prime example.
I've kind of reevaluated my score for Black Adam. I still think it isn't the worst thing ever, but it's not like I find myself wanting to go back and watch it or anything. I don't know. And the same with The Flash. But my biggest disappointment with The Flash is like they had some interesting concepts and ideas, and they just executed everything so poorly or not at all that it just fell apart. But at least it wasn't trying to do the message, or maybe it was here and there, but it wasn't. It felt like, hey, we got an idea here, and that's as far as it ever got. But this to me was just, same old, same old.
It is weird how today movies do generally split people so much. How back in the day, like I say, Raiders came out, everybody loved Raiders. Nobody slated Raiders because Raiders was great. Everybody loved it. And nowadays, you get movies come out, and I mean, I see people on Twitter who are absolutely, this is easily the best Indiana Jones film, blah, blah, blah. He goes out with the swan song and all this lot. And I'm thinking, right, no, you can't have it that, again, there's not many people who have just gone, it was all right. It was a decent enough Indiana Jones film, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of middle of the road. You either have to be on one side or the other, like I think you just said, a 1 or a 10, that you absolutely love it or you absolutely hate it. And it's just very little middle ground these days.
But this is the problem that I found with the site recently. My review of Indiana Jones, I gave it a 3.5. Sean said he gave it 3. You gave it 2, Phil?
2, yeah.
Yoda, I'm guessing you'd probably give it 1. 0. But then when I done my review, everyone's like, "Oh, you're a fucking sellout. When's your check clearing? What's happened to you?" And I'm like,
"Hey, I made the check joke."
And it's like, do you know what? It's all right to like something that other people don't like. Just fucking chill out. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm just saying I quite enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't awful. It was enjoyable. And by today's standards, there's a low bar. Let's be honest. There's a fucking low bar. Okay, so I'm not saying it was remarkable.
Hang on, right? Because the other day, I forget which film it was, but you wrote up a movie and you were saying how it's got a strong female cast and everything else, and you immediately started poo-pooing the whole thing, right?
Which one was that?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a couple of weeks ago, and I said,
Ghostbusters.
No, because we all know that's brilliant. Oh, I've been kicked off the stream again.
Demonetized.
I can't remember what it was, but like I said, there's some movie coming out and it's got a strong female cast.
It was Gal Gadot. It was Gal Gadot's new film on Netflix.
No, because I wrote that out, not you. Anyway,
I haven't written properly for a while. There was.
Anyway, I said as a joke, just to wind you up, oh, just because he's got a strong female woman, it doesn't mean he's going to be woke. And you jumped all over me about it. And now you're sort of saying, oh, yeah, but, you know, actually, you should give these things a chance.
No. I think you're talking about that new film with Gal Gadot, the Netflix trailer come out, where you've got, like, 7 stone women, which is, what's 7 stone in pounds, Yoda? It's like 790. It's like under £100.
What's 7 stone in normal?
You got 100-pound women, basically judo throwing men and taking out men with body armor and guns and that. And I'm like, I just can't be done watching this sort of shit anymore. I generally can't be done watching it. It's nothing to do with being woke. It's just that let's get some perspective. You've just seen my wife walking in here, right? My wife weighs 8.5 stone. Do you honestly believe she'd be able to fucking judo throw any of you two? Of course she wouldn't. It's fucking ridiculous. And I'm just sick of watching that sort of shit. Especially when you're in body armor with machine guns.
So many jokes.
So many jokes.
Not.
But it's just, I've just got to the point where I like, when I see...
Easy.
Well, Yoda, look, have you been watching
Easy.
You've been watching Strange New Worlds, Yoda?
I have not.
It's shit. It's
everything I'm
shit.
hearing. Chato is going nuts on it. He's had several different reviews of a couple of different episodes, more reviews than episodes. And I'm like going, dude, why are you doing this to yourself? Because I knew it was going to be pretty bad. And
It's terrible.
Not doing it. I'm done.
It's terrible.
Go
But
out
there's a
with the
class-
warm feelings of Picard season 3. Let's not hurt myself anymore.
Classic example, Yoda. You got Nurse Chapel, who's suddenly an action hero as opposed to a nurse that fell in love with Spock. And she's throwing around 8-foot Klingons. This bitch is about 5'5" and must weigh about 50 pounds soaking wet. And she's throwing around and you're like, you just get to the point where you're like, I'm out, I'm done. And that, I think that's what you're talking about, Phil. Is like I'm watching Gal Gadot with her trailer, and it's got the usual horrible rap music where it's like preparations, sitting on a train, waiting for a break. Cities building up, blowing, and then Gal Gadot fighting, getting like, this is shit.
But you've literally just said sometimes you just got to sit back and let it wash over you and enjoy it.
On things like Indiana Jones, where they've got a back history, we've got a 40-year history of inconsistencies. You got fucking Marion beating up Nazis back in then. I'm talking about today's standards, Phil. I'm not talking about...
She didn't beat up anybody. She was constantly getting captured and thrown around. She tried to punch out one guy. They immediately put her in a thing and almost burned out her face.
And she punched Nazis. She punched Nazis in
the
face. And no one just went, this is ridiculous. They got on with it. She's not judo throwing 18 stone men wearing body armor and machine guns when she weighs about 4 stone herself. It's just...
It was the trailer for that new Star Wars game, which has got a female protagonist. That's what you were slagging off.
What Star Wars game? What the...
Strange. Yeah. No, Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, fucking shit. She's basically a female Han Solo. And again, that was my point. Hold on, Phil. That's my point. They're not introducing a new female character. They've gone, hey, Han Solo's pretty cool. Everyone seems to like Han Solo. Let's remake him, but for a woman. No one's interested.
And then Helena is just a female indie.
How is she a female indie?
Because she's an archaeologist.
She's not an archaeologist.
She's looking for fortune and glory.
Yeah.
Who said that
Indiana Jones wants to preserve history and put mementos and artifacts in museums. She wants to sell them for making money and profit. And really? The museums? What, in Indiana Jones?
No.
Yeah.
I was joking with that.
And she's willing to whore herself out to get where she needs to be. She's about as far removed from Indiana Jones as you could possibly get.
Oh man, you're reaching.
Oh, guys, you're trying to get, as Sean would say, outrage porn. She's not like Indiana Jones at all. She's complete opposite to him, polar opposite.
I wouldn't say.
Yeah, she's not likable.
Oh, that's not nice.
They are. I don't know. I mean, I am still stuck in the middle of the road on this. That I didn't hate it. It had its problems, but then, like I say, most modern movies do, and I am nitpicky with a lot of things that come out. And so it's not just that. Like I say, there was nitpicky in the filmmaking, which is just one of those things I look at. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I will give it a try again on streaming. But that's, what's annoying is ultimately this is an Indiana Jones movie where I wasn't actually like looking forward to it. Even Crystal Skull was looking.
Listen, I wasn't looking forward to this. It's just I had free tickets. Like I said, my bank account gives me free tickets for the gives me 6 free tickets to the cinema every month. So I'm like cashing in. Can I just address something? Zach Peters put the museums paid Indy for the recovered artifacts. Museums, not private sellers and private buyers.
Now, I've always looked at Indiana Jones somewhat. Don't forget, Temple of Doom is a prequel. So in prequel, I think he was more mercenary.
You
there.
Call yourself a fan?
Yeah, and as I recall, in the beginning of Temple of Doom, I don't think he was selling Nurhachi to a museum. I think he was selling it to a Chinese gangster. So okay, for a diamond, right?
Right.
And then when he gets to Sankara stones, they had diamonds in them. He was talking about fortune and glory. And it wasn't until he realized that children were getting hurt that I think he had a big change. And then Raiders on through, it was more about selling to museums. Although then they kind of F that all up because they show him as a kid going, he belongs in a museum. It's like, yeah, you didn't think that Temple of Doom. But that's okay.
Yeah, so you're defending Helena now, then?
No, I'm not defending Helena. I'm just saying that's what I am bolstering my point that that's what they were trying to make her. Bulba and I both agree they were trying to make her the new Indiana Jones.
I don't know.
That's what
I think maybe they were trying. Maybe Doomcock's rumors deviated off that plan. I don't know. I mean, there was elements.
I will never know.
I was like, oh, is she going to be the new Indy?
Release the Kennedy cut.
Oh God!
Could you imagine that?
I see the same. I mean, the broken down. I would love to have seen him at Marshall College, a respected dean of students, still teaching, and everybody was like really invested in what he was doing. Don't kill Mutt. Have him. Like he's still Crystal Skull, okay, it's shit. I agree it's shit. Everything's shit. But it wasn't trying to destroy him as a character. And this was the same tropes they have done for all of this stuff. And it's not just them. I mean, the other movie houses.
What would you have liked to have seen of Mutt, though? Would you have liked to have, if Mutt had?
Well, he didn't have to be in the movie, but he didn't have to be killed so that Indy could be a horrible recluse that just hates the world.
Just not mention him at all.
Well, they could have mentioned him. He said Mutt's in L.A. He's working whatever. He's doing.
Do you not think that was a little bit of fan service? Do you not think they've just heard the last 10 years of people going, Mutt's a fucking horrible little prick, and they went, yeah, we're going to kill him, and everyone's going to be like, hey. Do you not think that was just like a bit of fan service that backfired?
Yeah, because the one thing we figured out is that Kathleen Kennedy is really worried about what the fans think.
Well, maybe she's. Well, again, it's all down to rumors, isn't it? Maybe that Doom.
If she killed off Mutt because I think I'm gonna take a stab here. I'm gonna think that she killed off Mutt because she didn't like that he was dissing Crystal Skull during the marketing, kind of threw off some of their plans. And I know Shia LaBeouf had a falling out.
He had a bit of a breakdown. Well, he had a bit of a breakdown as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a falling out with Spielberg and everything, which he regrets now. And I don't know if they patched anything up, but Kennedy may not like what she went through with Spielberg, but don't F with the family kind of thing. He was the new guy and he's running his mouth. So I think that was part of that maybe. And it was also about the same trope, the son figure. Something terrible happened to him, and that's why the main character is now a reclusive hermit who hates the world and turned down the music. Get off my lawn.
It didn't sit well with me.
Stop playing the Beatles.
That's right.
It didn't sit well with me that Indy was in a city because, again, that just didn't make any sense. I mean, okay, he was married to Marion and maybe they moved there, but again, Marion was quite happily living in a, bar in the middle of nowhere and stuff, and it just doesn't seem like either of them would want to live in a city anywhere. So that was a strange choice to make.
Yeah, well, listen, again, there's things that I won't defend about this film, and I'm not going to sit here as like, beating a drum for Kathleen Kennedy or Lucasfilm. I agree. I don't think I understand what happens to people when they lose a child. I do understand that, but let's not get too deep into this. It wouldn't have made sense for Indy to pack up all his shit and move halfway across the states to go and wherever the fuck he was from to set up in a busy city. But listen, what are you going to do?
The hillbilly is having a 4th of July today because he can't count numbers properly. Oh, we're having July the 4th on the 2nd. Yay. It's July.
Yeah, but it's the weekend.
No,
Beats having it on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it is.
So,
It's
yeah,
the worst time to have a holiday.
He
Hate
did pop
that.
up to prove himself an idiot by siding with Matt and then left.
That's right.
I'm celebrating on Tuesday to thank you. We've dodged a bullet by giving you your country back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, thank goodness for that.
And we dodged a bullet by not being under you wackos who, God knows how many boat migrants would be coming over now. Like we don't have enough problems.
There's nothing wrong with France.
Yeah.
Well, there is today.
I was going to say, do you know
Exploding.
what?
5 days.
I don't want to say I'm a tight arse, but I am looking at booking a holiday to Paris because it's bound to be cheap at the moment. Are you sure you want to go to Paris? Yeah, it's like 20 quid. Happy days.
Oh, that real estate's going to be awesome. You can get a flat there with some slight burn damage, but still.
Yeah, you get one of your hands cut off like that dude who's trying to protect his car from being stolen.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Okie doke. Right, so shall we briefly go through the news, or are you quite happy to wrap it up? I'm quite happy to
No,
wrap
I'm
it
done
up. if I'm
pistol
honest.
whipping Matt here, I think.
I'm done. All I'm going to say is, listen, I'm not defending Chris. I'm not defending the latest Indiana Jones film, but sometimes you just need to sit back and just enjoy.
Hey, look, for all the bullshit jokes, with the shame and all that kind of stuff. Look, if you enjoyed it, God bless you. I'm glad you got some enjoyment out of it. I have no room for the benefit of the doubt anymore with this group of people, and so I'm going to err on the side of this was purposeful, and they did it, and it's the same thing they did to Star Wars, and I'm not going to assume that there was any good faith put into any of this anymore. I'm just not. Show me something that they've done for the past 6 years that leads me to believe that they've done anything in good faith, really.
Well, apart from the only exception to that is the end of season 2 of Mando.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
what did we
only
get?
Exception.
And what did they do with that? Season 3 of Mando.
Yeah,
And
Obi-Wan.
Boba Fett.
Boba
Where-
Fett.
And Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how is this any? Yeah, Obi-Wan, same way. Recluse. We know he's a recluse in Star Wars, but he hadn't given up. He had a purpose and a mission, and now he's just kind of cutting meat, just keeping an eye on the kid once in a while, lives in a cave, smells.
Can
Come on.
Can I just read my favourite tweet? If you click on Kathleen Kennedy, it's trending at the moment. There's a guy called Huff
Is she?
who says, honestly, I didn't think she could pull it off. I didn't think Bob Iger would let her, but here we are 10 years later and she's done it. Kathleen Kennedy has replaced every one of George Lucas's white male protagonists with a brunette woman just like her.
Yeah.
And that's including Luke, Han, Indy and Willow.
She is a self-insert. Those English girls are self-insert. I think she loves the English accent, and she would strong.
She really went for it in
brunettes.
Willow as well, because
Yeah.
the main girl there was lesbian, so it's ticking all
That's
the
right.
boxes. Put her in a
Oh.
wheelchair, happy days.
Well, if she likes the English accent, we should bring her in here.
Hang on,
She had
right,
your
Maddox-
English accent.
Sorry,
You don't make
Maddox,
mine. Everyone
Right,
likes a
who-
cheeky
who
chappy
is
over.
who is Tubby? Are you calling me Tubby?
Who's
I mean, I am
Who's calling Tubby?
Maddox
I
keeps
think
saying,
it could be
"Shut up,
me.
Tubby."
I'm pretty
Oh.
fat.
Well,
No,
it could
he
be
said
me
a
as
bit-
well. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we've
if you're gonna call us Tubby, man, you got to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah,
Okay?
Yeah. We've had look at that. Look, we've had $3 from Heidi. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you very much,
thank you, Heidi.
Starts the OnlyFans.
Magic is calling Big Gay to Tubby.
Oh,
Oh,
I see. Oh, right, okay. I thought it was one of us. I mean, I am tubby, and but I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, just which one? Which one are you insulting? Come on.
That was like in what's his name in an episode of The Simpsons where Ned Flanders goes up to Moe and he says, "You're an ugly, hate-filled man," and he goes, "Hey, I may be ugly and I may be hate-filled," and what was the third thing?
I am not Heidi. Heidi is an actual person.
Yeah. Just some more push-ups. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, have any of you actually seen Indiana Jones, or are you just completely boycotting it? I must admit, I did feel guilty giving money to Disney. That didn't.
I only went because you guys.
I get where you came from.
Oh, mate, ain't cost me a damn penny. And same with the Flash as well. I went for the
Respect for
Flash
that.
as well. But
I only
I've
went
got
because you
my
guys
tickets-
gave it a much better review than I expected. But everybody can like what they want. But in the end, I'm correct.
I was genuinely shocked. At the end of Indiana Jones, I turned to my son, my 24-year-old son Jake, and I turned to him because he'd warned me before. Because we went to see The Flash the week before. And he went, "Don't sit there in Indiana Jones and sit there going, for fuck's sake, this is fucking ridiculous," sighing and moaning. He goes like, "It's really embarrassing." And I was like, "Well, look, I won't, but I can only react naturally to what I see." Okay? And at the end of Indiana Jones, I went, and he looked at me and he went, "Well," I went, "That's actually all right." He was like, "You're kidding me. I thought you was going to fucking hate it." Because I sat there during The Flash and I was like, "This is fucking pathetic." And my son was like, "Can you shut up?"
I like I say, I know I'm picky with some of the stuff that I watch, and I think sometimes it is purely justified, but I did try to go in with a bit more of an open mind to at least, just try and embrace it. And like I say, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. I mean, but to be fair, my expectations were so low. I was expecting to watch a dog turd slowly go white and hairy for 2 hours. And it wasn't quite as bad as that. You never see white hairy turds anymore because people have to pick them up. I kind of miss that.
Yeah, it's weird. I think dogs' diets have got. Did you ever have white dog turds in your day, Yoda? Bit of a thing over in England.
No, but my daughter, when she was first born, she had because of the formula, I guess, she had white turds. But I was a dumb new father, and this was we adopted her, and she was black, so they really stood out. I'm like, what the? Is this normal? Is this what black people do? They shit white? I didn't know. I'm such a moron.
That's really good. Okay, so like I say, I can see some people who are saying that they are boycotting Disney, and I completely understand.
Yeah, I do as well. I don't blame you one bit.
Every time something comes out, I am extremely dubious. And like I say, with this, I was extremely dubious, and it wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. And so, like I say, that's why I gave it just that little bit of the benefit of the doubt. The movie, not Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, listen, if they keep judging films on box office rather than content, which is sad. I mean, you look at Blade Runner as a prime example. That thing tanked. Now look at it. Yeah. I'm not saying Indiana Jones is anywhere near Blade Runner, but
you seem to be saying that, man. I think you want to withdraw that immediately.
I'm hoping that if today's movies are judged on box office numbers, which seems to have happened since Marvel have come in, hopefully this will be the final now in Kathleen Kennedy's coffin. But let's be honest, it's
what else has she got left to ruin? I don't think there's anything.
Nothing.
I wonder what George Lucas did to her to make her hate him so much.
I want to know what men did to her to hate her so much. Perhaps her husband is she married? Perhaps her husband's just such a shitbag. Perhaps he's such a shitbag, or perhaps he's so crap in bed she's never had an orgasm and she's just like taking her frustration out on the world. Someone get hold of her, throw her around the bedroom and give her a good seeing to. And then she'll come out and she'll be like, actually, I'm all right now.
Okay, boys, I'm going in. But with Frank Marshall has produced a lot of Steven Spielberg's movies, and whether Frank has actually done the work, because I posted a picture the other day. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, it says that she was associate to Mr. Spielberg, Kathleen Kennedy. That was her job. And again, it's kind of like, Really? That was your big job? You basically got him coffee and took notes for him?
So
When some
basically,
people
I've googled Frank Marshall, and I can 100% guarantee that he's never given Kathleen Kennedy a good seeing to, which is probably why she's so angry with the world. This poor woman has probably not had an orgasm for about 30 years. Frank
probably-
Marshall, dear Kathleen, we've been blaming you all these years. I'm blaming you, Frank Marshall. Step up to the plate. Get some Viagra going. Get out the grease.
He's been too busy actually producing quality movies.
Well, he ain't been
His wife's
producing
been-
anything
his
more
wife-
than a semi by the looks of things.
That his wife's
I
been
bet she
taking
still
credit
has
for.
her. I bet she still has her first pair of knee pads when she was associate to Mr. Spielberg.
Frank Marshall, step up to the plate, man. You're the one who's letting us all down. You need to give her a right good rogering, and then hopefully she can let go of some of this anger that she's got towards us all.
Yoda, mate, would you like to wrap up for us all?
Yeah, or do we have anything else, or is this? I guess
like I said, I think
we went
before
right
we-
for the meat and potatoes. We didn't even bother with the
we've
news.
had,
What's
we've been-
next?
We've been very angry and we've all had a good scream and we'll all sleep well tonight.
What's next? Mission Impossible. When's that out?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I
out
think
the
so.
11th, I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah,
I've got
I'm
10th
looking
of
forward to
July
that.
here.
Well, yeah. So it's in the next couple of weeks.
So it's a week. I'm going to go. Do you know what? Even though I've got free tickets, that is one film I would pay to see.
Yeah, I would too. I know that's coming out. Dune is until later in the year.
June to November.
November, yeah, time, yeah.
Yeah,
And then you got Oppenheimer. That's soon as well, isn't it?
Barbie.
I'm lukewarm on. Oh man, I'm hearing Barbie is.
Do you know what I mean?
The tracking on that is tanked because I guess there's all this, like Margot Robbie and the they're going on the press tours now and they're saying, oh yeah, it's very feminist or something. I don't know. And then the producers of the marketing team said, no, it's not. It's not, we
it's
swear.
not feminist. No.
Stop.
It's
It's not what.
females in it. That's
No.
what we were saying.
Don't
Females
Bud
in
Light us, please. We need the money.
Let's
it.
Marvel.
Dylan Mulvaney loved it.
Gave him a hard on. Gave her a hard on.
What did she say? Dylan Mulvaney. God damn it!
Matt, that's her penis. Thank you.
Her penis. Tickled her balls. No, I
don't.
do you know, I am gagging at the bit for Oppenheimer. I saw a new trailer. Did you have a new trailer for Oppenheimer? With
I think so. I mean, it looks.
Oh,
I'm not. It's like I feel like it's seeing out of obligation, and I'll probably enjoy it when I do. But it's just like, oh, good, another historical World War II film. Yay!
I don't know. To me, I don't know how the story's going to play out, and that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, no. I know obviously what the story's about, you idiot. But
It
what I'm
ends with a
saying is
bang.
I don't know how
hopefully
it
some
plays
cindered
out.
jacks.
I don't know how it plays out. So I'm gonna. That's what I'm interested in.
You know, if he has any balls, because you know how he likes to do competing narratives and different timelines. Like they'll show him doing the thing, and then they'll show this family in Japan just go about their business and having their, you know, maybe the guy cheated on her or something, and then finally it ends. They just all get roasted.
Do you know what I'd like it to end with them showing like Japan nowadays and their subways and their trains and everyone and then showing like America and their subways and their cities and just going, I think we bombed the wrong place.
Yeah,
That'd be nice. But
they were the ones that got bombed. How come they look so much better?
Well,
What
I
was,
wonder
what was the last words of the mayor of Hiroshima?
Fuck.
What was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
What's that noise?
Bloody hell! I can't wait for Oppenheimer. So, should we do a? Is everyone going to see Mission Impossible? Should we do a Mission
I will.
Impossible one?
I'd be.
Yeah, I
quite
probably
happy to
will.
go and see
Yeah.
it. I'd be quite
I'm really weirded out though because they had all those. It's funny that the trailer. I see the trailer, and the trailer shows him going off the cliff and on the motorcycle and doing all that. But they also had all these trailers where they showed him doing it, but it's a big metal ramp, and they've put the CG rocks over the ramp and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, Looks, well,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have noticed it if I had never seen it prior to the special effects. But since
Right.
I'd seen it so many times prior to special effects, and now it's like, what? It looks so janky to me. And I'm sure it's probably not that bad. It's probably fine. But now I think it's just because I have the original image in my brain.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Mm.
It's not because the special effects are terrible.
I did watch the original Mission Impossible the other day, and what I did like, I'd never noticed, well, not really noticed it before, but at the end on the train, the wind fan, obviously they've got on because he's not on a real train, but the wind fan they've got on him is pulling G's.
It's good.
you know, it's like and stuff. And I was thinking, he really does put himself out there. Phoning in is not something that Tom Cruise does. Fair play to him, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't wait. So that's next week, isn't it? 10th. 8 days, a week tomorrow.
If they were
Actually,
doing
Monday.
it now, he'd actually be on a bullet train.
I'm sure it's the
lunatic.
11th or the 12th, Eggy. Hang on, where's my local cinema?
Well, I've just looked. It said the 10th, so it must be a preview at the Odeon where I live, which is 8 days. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday night.
Hang on, where's coming? Choose a film. That's what I want. What was it we were talking about? Mission Impossible.
Mission
Why is it not
Impossible.
doing that?
It's definitely the 10th. It's 8 days. It's a week tomorrow.
That's weird for a Tuesday, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's because over in England we got no football on. It's the end of the season, so they're just chucking everything on during the week.
Right, 10th. Oh, Mission Impossible. No, yeah, you're right. That's one of those films where it's like usually they release it on a Friday, but then if you release it early enough, you can still count the box office figures up till then.
Yeah.
So he's really
I
pushing
miss
his luck.
I miss films coming out on a Friday.
Yeah. Okay, so with that then, yes, I will be going to see it on the 10th. My local cinema is showing it on the 10th, so I will be going to see it.
Yeah, I'm going to do that as well.
Please tell me I'm not working that day.
You don't fucking work at all.
Shut your face. Oh, I've gone early, so
Flying drones ain't a job.
I've bought a little stand for my little drone, just to show it off. Anyway, right, so
It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one to cut up for the week, isn't it? It's like just one video.
Just let it go.
Let it go.
Unless you do what Phil said in the red corner and in the blue corner, do a fence and 4.
Oh no, it's still cutting up as a bugger. Anyway, that's your problem, Yoda, not mine. Do you want to wrap up for us?
That's not a problem. We had one topic, and that's all I'm going to do. So it's done.
Old school.
After I
old
hit
school.
end broadcast, we're done. I'll just throw up the audio on the podcast and the hell with it. So thank you very much for watching. We are, of course, lastmovieoutpost.com. You can reach us on Twitter at @MovieOutpost. He is at Boba Phil. He is at Matt Eggy Wags. I am at Drunken Yoda 1. You can find us also on Facebook at /LastMovieOutpost and on Instagram at @LastMovieOutpost. Come to us for all the latest in the news and streaming news and movie news and everything cool about film. We are the cool news now. Boba, what you got left?
Nothing. Yeah, come to the website and have fun.
Awesome.
Look at Sean.
Matt?
Look at Matt's wife's bum.
Yes.
Look at that. That's it.
Matt,
That's my
I'm
sign
not-
off.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed.
It's fine, man. It's fine. Let's see you next week when we're talking about Barbie.
Can't wait.
God help you both if you like it.
You guys are dressed up as well, right? Right?
All
anyway,
right.
so yeah, that's
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Been a pleasure.
Yep. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next stream.